We dream big the world. Now. That's how it begins, with the word now. It began the instant you read the word now. And who can say how long that word was on the page, existing but ignored? It's possible it was always there, waiting just for you. It's possible it was never there. The very act of reading occasioned its existence. Check. Is it still there? Go on, look. Of course it is. Right at the beginning, as it should be. And look, you're right in the thick of it. Lucky you. At least we hope you feel as much, lucky. But wait, who is this we hoping you feel as much, lucky? We are the now, the instant, the constituent, the possible, and the ever-stagnant present, never ever there. We are an infinite combination. We are a combination infinite. Infinite combination, we are. Well, you see what we mean. The point is we exist. Where, you ask? Oh, you didn't, you say. Well, you did now, because we put that question in your mind, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Somewhere between the page and your mind, we exist. But our meaning, our purpose, our significance, lies somewhere in the interstice. The relationship is somewhat symbiotic, parasitic even. We need a host, and right now you're it. Like we said, lucky you. It can't be that bad though, can it? Having us in your head all the time, bouncing around, expressing, communicating, pondering. If you think about it, well, you can't think about it without us. There would be no you without us. And we are, and who are you, you ask? Oh, you didn't, you say. We've been over this, don't get cute. You are who we say you are. You are who we describe you as being. We conceptualize you. And you can be anything, an infinite combination, a combination infinite combination you. Well, you see what we mean. Or perhaps you don't. Don't worry, you will. We were sitting in the coffee shop when it happened. At least I think that's where we were. Wait, no. I'm sure that's where we were when it happened. Am I, though? Yes, I am. At least as much as I can be about anything, which isn't to say all that much. Can we really prove that we were ever actually anywhere? Wait, this has started out all wrong. It's too confusing too soon. Let me start over. We were sitting in the coffee shop when it happened. At our usual table, the one over in the corner against the far wall. It's the best spot in the place. It's the kind of table you would sit at if you were one of those badass types, like a hitman or something, and you wanted to make sure you could survey every entry point and have your back against the wall at the same time. That's where we were. We could see everything, which is why it was so odd what happened. We didn't see it coming. Not to say that we were really paying all that much attention. We each had our drinks and something to read. I had my black coffee and the paper. Julie had her tea and her book on spirituality, which would consume her until the next war or famine or massive scale genocide destroy any conviction she had in the interconnectivity of human experience. The point is we were busy, engaged. Still, I never thought something like that would happen to me, not in a million years, which is why I still have a hard time believing that it actually did happen to me. Isn't it possible, no matter how remote, that it happened to somebody else? And if there is that possibility, no matter how remote, shouldn't I at least entertain the notion? Maybe one of Julie's books isn't that far off the mark. Maybe it all happened to someone else and I'm remembering their experience as my own. After all, if what they say about superposition is true, then every particle exists in every possible location simultaneously. Wouldn't it then be true that I was there when someone else experienced what happened at the coffee shop? Wait, or wouldn't that make us the same person? Who the hell did this happen to anyway? Maybe it was in a movie or a story I read once that began, we were sitting in the coffee shop when it happened, at our usual table, the one over in the corner against the far wall, the one John likes to describe as the hitman table. Every single time we go, he always says, I hope we get the hitman table. I'm supposed to think it's still funny. He was drinking his coffee and reading the newspaper, as if that waste of ink could even begin to tell him what was going on in the world. Every article, global, local, or editorial, presupposing some pretense at objectification, at knowledge, as if anyone working for that paper could comment on reality. I let him read it because it keeps him from talking about the table. He would tell me later he told people that I was reading some book on spirituality, but that's not true at all. He likes to say those things to paint me as that type of person just to undermine my intelligence in social situations. The irony is most of the couples we hang out with share my sentiments concerning metaphysics, quantum mechanics, particle physics, and the interconnectivity of human experience. So really, the joke's on him. I was actually reading a collection of short stories. Most of them were forgettable, unremarkable really. I'll never forget the one I was reading when it happened though. It was a story by an author I've never heard of before. It was called We Dream Big the World, and it began in the most interesting way. Now, that's how it begins, with the word now, he said and took a sip of his beer. That's how I'm going to write it. After the opening section, each part will break off, sort of disintegrate, unravel, you know? The bar was quiet and empty. The couple sat at a table in the corner against the far wall. It was their table. They preferred this table because they could be left alone in the corner and still survey all the entrance points and see who was coming into the bar. The hitman table, they would refer to it jokingly. It's interesting, the woman said. You don't like it? No, it's not that. It's not that I don't like it, I just wonder, the woman said, and she leaned forward and rested her head in her hand and tapped the side of her cheek with her index finger. Wonder what? I don't know. How long? How long do you think you can jerk the reader around like that? There's a point. There's a certain point and they'll stop reading. Yes, but it's all a matter of, finding that point. Exactly, the man said and set his glass down hard on the table and waved his index finger at his friend's face. Exactly, it's all about finding that point. It's risky, the woman said. Look, listen, the man said and leaned in towards his friend and put both his arms on the table. It's all about how you write the story. It's about the words themselves. If you make it interesting enough, beautiful enough, clever enough, dirty enough, whatever, people will keep reading. You just have to be sure of the words. That's the tricky part. Yeah, the woman said, I don't know. I don't disagree with you. The words matter, to be sure. You've got to have a plot, characters, conflict, an arc of some kind. If you go too far afield, you'll lose too many sheep. And readers, my friend, are sheep. You're wrong, the man said and clapped his hands and laughed. You're wrong. Look, listen, read this. Read this and you'll understand. You'll see that it at least can be done. The man grabbed a book that was sitting on the table and opened it. Go on, read it. Now, it begins with the word now, the ever-stagnant present never ever there, a presence with the predilection towards forward progress rest on what came before, misdirection, which direction, propels but what for, station, appellation, actors, comic or tragic, comic satisfaction, honest and satisfied, binary divides, false dichotomy supplies, the wrong choice, numerology, Torah, a voice, no, a number for God, odd, maybe, eternal, who can say? See? What about imaginary numbers? Decimal points, the prime number. Laughs, laughter, here, now, and ever after, disjointed character actors, God torn asunder through logical blunders. Ever-present presence never accepted. Eternal, stagnant, magnetic attraction to what's happened. Now. Infinite combination, infinite combination, infinite, co-bomb, that I am finished. Loose association breeds displacement and replaces narrative stabilization. T-minus 48 words and counting. Doubting Thomas hit the nail on the head. Promise. Better off dead than the forgiving, living, sinning, unremitting. Now, in the ever-stagnant present, never ever there. Presence, first law of thermodynamics. Question the veracity of you and me. Superposition. Contention which dismisses any mention of the contradiction. Individuality. Distinct. Eternity is the now. It begins with the word now. He says, exhaling a thick cloud blue mist of smoke, passing the joint to her, he on his back rolled over, arms under the pillow, resting his head, staring at the ceiling. She the joint takes, to her mouth puts, and toke, 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 the smoke whirling around her head like light, ghostly lightning bugs. Yeah? Laughs after she says this. And where does it go from there? I don't know, really. It just kind of trails off into this somewhat nonsense, somewhat interconnected rhyming thing. I think it'll make sense when I perform it. Spoken word should be spoken. Exactly, says he. Onto elbow, rolls over, awaiting the joint. She, after exhaling smoky apparition, passes. The roach his fingers gently pinch. The room, small but comfortable, cozy even. One window, blinds open. Moonlight let in, welcome liquid guest, flooding the floor with yellow waves. The bed on the floor, no frame, old and beat up, but does the job. The couple haven't left all day, lounging around like two hitmen on the lam after a job, laying low. Hey, did you see that thing in the paper? She, waving hand, tells the joint no, resting on her side. Verdant green eyes scanning lover's profile, says, what thing? It's a big paper. He, snuffing remaining roach in the ashtray, staring above, counting painted stars, replies snarky. The thing, asshole. His arm she hits, but laughing. About the coffee shop, the fucking car. Oh shit, yeah, I did see that. Ran right through the front, didn't it? Right through. Fuck. And silence and staring. He painted stars, she still the profile enamored, both lost in thought, contemplative. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? About what? How it's all going to end. Oh, shut up. Hitting a laugh, smaller this time, both. You're gonna fuck up my high. Seriously, you don't ever wonder? Rolls over, light blue meets green, heads on pillow rest. How it's going to end? Now. It began with the word now, and it will end with one. But the end of one thing is perhaps the start of another. Perhaps not. Soon enough, this paragraph will end. T-minus 180 words and counting. But that doesn't mean this is over. We're not through with you, nor you with us. Really, we're ceasing to become two separate things. We're becoming. Think about it. See? There we are again, like we told you earlier. And when this paragraph is over, T-minus 132 words and counting, you will no doubt go on to do something else. Out there, so to speak, in the world. Not that this wasn't one, a world that is, and not to say that it was any less real for that matter. The point is, when you go out there, you will communicate, gesticulate. You will become a sign for others to read with your movements and sounds and gestures. You will become us, we will become you, and then we'll be becoming, always. So even when this paragraph is over, T-minus 36 words and counting, it won't be the end. Not then. Not at that moment. And who knows? Maybe there isn't one coming, an end, that is. All we can say for certain is that this paragraph is over. Now.